This podcast series is supported by members at Patreon. If you want to support this podcast series, head to patreon.com/Cascadian Beer. Welcome to the Cascadian Beer Podcast. My name's Aaron and I'm a Cascadian. In this podcast series, I profile the unique beer scene here in the Pacific Northwest. If this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy this podcast series, and I do hope you hit subscribe wherever you are listening to this. That way you'll never miss an episode in your podcast app. Now, like many of us, we had a lot of plans in the works this year, and one of them being I was really looking forward to going down to Hops Harvest again, which I was fortunate enough to go down to, thanks Sam, last year. But COVID. So that was another trip that had to be canceled, but I was able to connect with some friends of the podcast in Yakima Valley digitally because they have a great campaign this month to highlight Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And you can participate if you're a home brewer or craft beer lover. So I connected virtually with this episode's guests.
This is Shelley Desmarais, co-owner of CLS Farms out of Moxie, Washington.
Jeff Perkins, co-founder of Yakima Valley Hops.
It's great to connect with you guys, even though digitally. I mean, I would love to be down there because it is harvest time while we're taping this at the moment. And thank you so much for your time too, by the way, because no doubt it's just busy times for both of you, right?
Yeah, it's definitely still pretty busy. We are still picking up till probably Saturday or Sunday this week. So it's 24/7 hop harvest. So I'm happy to break away for a little bit and talk about some upcoming projects that we're working with Jeff on.
Right. So CLS Farms, how long have you been around for?
So Eric, my husband, and I started our farm 24 years ago, basically, the day we got married. And we decided that we were going to buy 100 acres together. And he had been farming, obviously, with his family and had been a fourth generation hop grower. And together over the last 24 years, we have built our farm acre by acre together. And we now have a sizable farm, but also 3 daughters. And we are also the proud farmer owner of Eldorado, Medusa, Zappa, our proprietary hops that we grow.
Right.
Along with a bunch of organic soft fruit. And we're pretty busy.
Right. And that's a heck of a wedding present for yourselves. I mean,
yeah, it was, it was truly an opportunity to put a farm together rather quickly with some help, obviously, by a very close hop dealer of ours, John Haas, actually at the time. And it was the start of a long-term relationship with them. And then we were able to grow from that over the years and add, different parts to our farm. This is my 24th harvest, so I'm excited to celebrate it with my friends and family. And it's been definitely an interesting year, I think, for us, and along with all of our brewer friends. And so are appreciative and grateful that we've had a very safe and healthy harvest.
Right. And then Jeff, what's the story behind Yakima Valley Hops? How did that project start?
So in college, I lived next door to a long generational hop family that stores and processes hops, and that is Hollenberg and Son. And he started selling hops to breweries while we were at school. And I started selling things I had around the house or stuff from when I used to work at a record store on eBay, and looked up what the hop prices were for, to sell to homebrewers, and realized that, there was a market there, and that Matt could get me the hops for significantly less money. And so as like kind of a side hustle, I began repacking down larger increments, that he would sell to the craft brewers and put them up on eBay. I started with like the auction aspect of it and then realized that was really not the best way to do it. And they had just implemented the buy it now option. And so I started doing that. Was really successful right off the bat. So I decided to get a website just to kind of streamline it more and to avoid all the unnecessary fees eBay charges you. So nobody had yakvalleyhops.com, and it's for multiple different reasons, because the craft beer industry really didn't start taking off, until 6 years ago. There had been a brief period before that, but it kind of crashed. So I was looking for my next moves after college and kind of really wanted to pursue this a little further. And so then I got with my business partner, John Snyder, who had a facility, and we've been longtime friends, actually each other's first friends. When we were like 5 years old, maybe. And so we decided that we both, just a couple of DIYers, and decided to just jump in full submerged under, to start this business essentially. And then it kind of just blossomed from there. We started the retail side, and then we started a wholesale side to craft breweries, and we started sourcing from the likes of Johnny Haas, as Shelley mentioned earlier, which actually came into play this last year where, after year 7 of doing this, Haas approached us to, partner with us to cater to the craft market because, they're probably the largest, they are the largest hop merchant firm in the world. So, I mean, they're really used to catering to like the top 200 breweries or so.
Dealing with big batches of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they weren't really catered to really set up kind of smaller boxes and so forth to that market. So we've been able to come in and be a supply chain for that segment. They also are half owners of the hop breeding program, which is HBC. And, all the really bomber hops that have came out in the past, 10 years have came out of this program. So like Citra, Mosaic, Equinaut, Laurel. There's a new one, Talus, that just got released, Sabro. So it's really nice to have first level access and get those hops into the hands of craft breweries.
Right. Great. And I mean, I was very fortunate to visit you guys last year, and I noticed that you guys actually can your hops, it was the first time I've seen that done. So
yeah. So our normal packaging is a Mylar zip, is like a rezippable bag. Mm-hmm. And Mylar is really standard in the hop industry. That's what the big guys do for craft breweries. They do them in the kilogram system because internationally, the brewery market has always been bigger. So if 5, 10, and 20 kilograms, which is roughly translated to 11, 22, and 44 pounds. But so when we first got in the market and we got these machines and we started, packing them in these Mylar bags, we realized that we kind of wanted to elevate our packaging. And so we started coming up with some ideas, and John was looking into why not use like a beer can, a similar beer can that breweries use, because you could recycle aluminum. And, the craft canning line innovation has really taken off in the past, 6 years. So we contacted this company and we got it modified for our needs, and we found cans. We actually use the cans that use a 360 lids, so similar that you would see in the store, or like trying to think like a Pringles packaging. So it rips off the full top of the top, and so that's a great mechanism to pour the hops out. One of the, other advantages are the 360 degrees marketing that we can get really creative, on the can itself, and then also the automation. So the idea is to package a lot of these things in an efficient manner, and then move a lot of our labor resources to actual order fulfillment. So there's multiple different tiers of why we decided this packaging, and we even had ideas of putting cans in vending machines. We haven't gone that far as of yet, but it's been really successful. And I will say about 40-60% of our inventory will be converted into cans at some point. It just doesn't make sense to break down all the hops into that increment just because of the demand for those varieties, right? So like if we only carry a case of like a random variety, it just doesn't make sense to put it through that machine. So anyways, yeah, really, really excited for that. That's something new that we just released. And then also we are revamping our website. We are going to be launching a new website, which we have not done since the inception of Yakima Hops. And we're adding a lot of cool features to that. using a lot of the background educational support from Haas and implementing that into the UI user interface and UX user experience aspects to our website. So we have a lot of exciting things coming out this year on top of 2020 crop, which is just getting pelletized now. And so going to be available for, everyone that's interested in brewing beer and themselves or breweries.
Shelley, are there any experimental hops on your farm that are new this year that you haven't grown before?
We're focused on the ones that are kind of in most demand right now. And El Dorado, Zappa, Medusa kept our plate pretty full. So, and then certainly all the public varieties, Cascade, Centennial, Chinook, those are enough for us right now to provide a lot of support for, because they're definitely, seeing an increase in demand. So as far as other experimentals, I think we're good for right now.
Yeah, I will say it is an exciting time for them because El Dorado actually made the top 10 in terms of varieties that have the most acreage. So they finally made it to that list, which is really exciting. So that just shows you how popular in the past, 5 years with the craft beer industry too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was released 10 years ago, and just seeing a really, nice growth over the last 10 years, and specifically in the last 5 for sure. I think we're always just looking to expand that and get that into brewers' hands along with Zappa and Medusa as well.
So when we say experimental varieties as well, maybe Shelley, you can elaborate further about the New Mexicanas program itself. Most people probably have no idea. So that's something really unique that they do on their farm.
Yeah, so Neo Mexicanus is its own unique hop species, wild hops that were cultivated from New Mexico up in the wild mountain range by Todd Bates, who is a passionate hop guy. And he approached us several years ago, with his collection that he had cultivated, and really wanted a farm to help him bring these hops to fruition. And my husband Eric listened, and we talked a lot about, what should we do with these? Should we bring them up here? And what does this look like? And so actually Eric and Tom Nielsen from Sierra Nevada traveled down to New Mexico to meet with Todd. And he, had a collection that we brought back up to Yakima, to Moxie, our farm. And we had lots of trials and testing, and which ones did well, which ones wouldn't do well. And really, after many, many years of trial and error in our versions of Zappa and Medusa, we settled on the ones that are currently in production. But it's a passion project for sure. But they're really unique and different, and they have completely different aromas. And we have run, Zappa through lots of different brewers' hands to get their feedback on, and we definitely, it's complex and unique, and just lots of interesting aromas. So that's kind of our breeding program is working with folks like him, Todd Bates, whose passion was to collect these, and who also happened to love Frank Zappa and his music. So that's how Zappa actually got its name, was because just the music that Todd Bates, he loved Zappa music, and that's how Zappa, the hop, came about.
Right. And with that, what is the process of taking a wild variety, putting it into commercial production, as it were? And is there anything drastically different in that process? I kind of think of, the difference between farmed fish and wild fish, of how the flavors are so different. Is there anything that happens in that process of hops?
Well, I think you're talking about hops that are maybe bred with certain characteristics and that are maybe in a laboratory, and there's many years of testing and developing that goes on. And And these were hops that we developed with Todd Bates that were grown in Moxie and were small. I mean, it was just over, 5 years or so that it was lots of test plots and trials, to get the hop to actually grow properly and to not die of powdery mildew or disease so it takes a lot. There's a lot of time investment for a grower to bring a hop to market and do it in that way. But I think it's definitely something that's been really rewarding for us to do.
And that can almost be a podcast within itself, right? So, there's so much that goes to all of this.
Yeah.
And, what is unique is that these are 100% New Mexicanas plants. So they're derived and they're not crossbred with, any of the commercialized hops.
The
noble hops stuff. Yeah.
The noble hops. Yeah. These were born and raised in New Mexico in the wilds of, that were cultivated by a man who had a lot of passion for bringing these hops to market. And so that is an entire podcast, just that story alone.
What is serendipitous about this is that, those traits that are coming from New Mexicanas hops are actually have been hybrid. And example of that would be Sabro that came out. So it's gotten a lot of looks by a multitude of entities that breed hops for a series of reasons. But again, I think another podcast in the future on specifically this would be, definitely come back to that. And I'm sure Eric can come in and be another participant with that. So,
I mean, it was totally part of my plan to be down there for this year's harvest and taping a bunch of stuff with you guys. And but yay, COVID. So.
Right. Yeah.
We're talking today too, because there's a pretty exciting project coming out. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and you guys are doing the 1 in 8 project. How did this project start, and what's behind it?
So 1 in 8 was a wet hop beer that was started a couple years ago with Cloudburst in Seattle. We both had been touched by either ourselves or someone that we love that had breast cancer. And because of the close relationship we have with brewers, and, we thought, let's collaborate and, we'll donate the hops. And if you guys can brew this beer, let's raise some money for a very worthwhile cause. And it just was a great opportunity, to do something together. And it was really successful. We came, to harvest last year, and we got through a year and thought, well, should we do this again? And I just wanted to have like a natural connection with another brewer that maybe had an experience with breast cancer. And I thought of my friend and cousin of our family, which is Pam Berlott. She is a survivor as well, and a brewer, owner of Icicle Brewing out of Leavenworth. And so we donated the hops again for that wet hop beer, and they took it to another new level, which, they canned the beer, and that was really exciting and special. We got to bag up the wet hops and drive them up to Leavenworth, and, we helped brew the beer. And so it was a really fun opportunity and to do something for an important cause that ended up raising money for 2 different cancer care organizations, one in Leavenworth and one in Yakima. And so with that, we, kind of got to spring this year. And honestly, with COVID and all the shutdowns and, just the trials and tribulations some of our brewery friends were experiencing, we had some experiences, just from protecting our workers and our crew. And we just didn't know I didn't think this would be possible, really. And I just was really kind of unsure of what to do. And I thought, okay, well, maybe we'll skip it this year. And then we'll come back to it. I got a phone call from Wellness House of Yakima, and I was just talking to their director, and like a lot of charities and nonprofits are experiencing, a lot of their funding has gone away. Their events have stopped. Their volunteers are not coming. But the thing that still remained the same was that they're still providing help. And that was a big aha for me, was they need help. They need funding. They need support, even more so now than ever. And I thought we just can't let this go by without something, because it's become even more critical that we do something to help any nonprofit. And thought of Jeff and the YVH crew and thought, well, we could do something together. And actually Jeff is a great supporter of a lot of growers in this valley. And he was quick to say yes. And how can I help? And what can we do?
So yeah, Jeff, how do you come into this then?
I'm a yes guy. So they just asked. No, I thought this was a good opportunity we've never actually done something like this where it's actually a fundraising campaign using the vehicle of selling hops. I thought that would be a good idea to try out, and maybe even for future possibilities to raise money for other organizations. But one thing, I always come back to is relationships and friendships and things that people are passionate about. And so this is a great opportunity for us to get involved in a collaboration efforts. So when we were sitting down thinking about how to do this, we needed a hop. And so the public breeding program just recently released a hop called Triumph. And I was like, whoa, a lightning bolt hit. It's a great name because you're triumphing over adversity, whatever that may be. B, I like Triumph, that it's a public hop it's not necessarily owned by entities. So growers have control over that in terms of making, sales or extra money. C would be, you can get it anywhere too. And to hopefully promote these kind of like public hops too, right? So, right now it seems the marketplace, everyone's really fixated on these, anything with a TM or a registered trademark on the name. And they are great. I also think there's a lot of opportunity and importance to public varieties. And so, you can get into that topic way deeper than that. But in my mind, I was thinking, okay, similar campaigns here. And I was thinking like Sierra Nevada did the wildfire campaign where they were raising money I guess the new Black is Beautiful too, right? So where everyone can participate and it generates, funds for these organizations, everyone coming together. And so I thought of a similar model with this. And so what was really cool is that CLS grew these hops. Roy Farms is another partner in this, and they pelletize the hops. And then we are going to be distributing the hops. And before those two other organizations, breweries could participate in that. But now homebrewers can participate in this aspect, right? So just inherently buying Triumph hops for the 1 and 8, we're going to be kicking back money towards the organization. So just coming on the website and trying a new public variety and buying these hops is you've already done your part. We also are really encouraging, breweries to participate in any way they want to in terms of, generating money for their local organizations or however they want to do it. And so we will also be releasing, label assets that people can use with the same schematics or theme for the 1 and 8, which we will release on launch date. So you can be a brewery, you can be a home brewer, and you can also be a craft beer drinker and going out to those breweries that are collaborating with this campaign. So I think we're hitting all markets here, and so everyone can participate and hopefully spread awareness. I mean, I think just the name 1 and 8, 1 out of 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer is profound. I had no idea either.
Yeah, I think that is, and the name of it 1 and 8 was first coined because it was one of 8 wet hop beers that were being brewed that first year, which is also the statistic that 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime. And so I think the name is great because it just speaks to that statistic, and it creates also awareness that women need to be doing, self-screening, getting their mammograms regularly, and that early detection is what the message is, the sooner your breast cancer is caught earlier, the better. And so if you are aware, then you have knowledge, and knowledge means that you can act and do things to improve your situation, which is a surprising statistic for sure. And so I'm glad that the name was coined, and I'm happy that it continues, because I do find a lot of women and men don't maybe understand that statistic is 1 in 8.
And I mean, like, I can just think of like 8 female friends myself, right? So that's just like a crazy statistic that one of them, can possibly get it.
Right. And so, there's a lot of women in the brewing industry. There's a lot of women in hop industry now. And I have 3 daughters. And so I think as an industry, we can definitely use this opportunity to create that awareness and also raise money for a very worthwhile cause that's important to Yakima.
These hops sound really cool. And not only is it supporting a good cause, so I mean, the obvious next question is, when is it available and how can we get it?
So you can currently get it right now if you're a brewery on our wholesale site, which is spothops.com, spothops.com. Spot hops is a term that is commonly used in the industry of what's available outside of contracts. For the retail side, in terms of canning, which we're going to be canning these hops and repackage them into smaller increments, we are dropping it October 8th. And so we will have it available, for sale throughout the month of October and even in November. And so I think a lot of the beers that you'll see from this collaboration effort will be released probably in November. So the longer the longer amount of time that we have to create more awareness, the better, right? So and our retail size for homebrewers that we will be dropping on the 8th are available at yakimavalleyhops.com. So check back on both those things, or check back on our social media, which is we're on Instagram, Facebook, all those other things. CLS, same thing, and Roy Farms would be another entity too that will be hyping it up as well.
It's honestly juicy fruit. It's a juicy fruit, some light berry, bubble gum. It's lime, but it's a mild hop. It's subtle and delicate, and it's not overpowering by any means. So I think, if you want to do something light, with it, or if you want to pair it with some other hops, I think it would work well too. But it felt subtle and delicate was a lot of the terms that we talked about during harvest. And juicy fruit was definitely a top of our mind when we were doing some sensory. But honestly, it's so new that it's a little bit of a, everybody gets something different out of it because it's such a new hop.
We are collaborating with Varietal Brewing, as you know, Chris.
Friends of the podcast.
And he will be using, he's been on your podcast before, and he's making phenomenal beer down the valley. And, Shelley will be going down for that collaboration, and Claire, and, doing the hop drops. But he's going to be doing like a New England style IPA, and we'll also be using other hops too. And so, yeah, Shelley's right. It is a really new hop. So the gates are wide open for experimentation on it. And it plays well with others. However, people want to make a certain style of beer, we're leaving it totally up to them. So that's what's fun about that. All right,
great. Well, thank you both so much for your time. I wish I was down there again for harvest, but I'm really looking forward to this and possibly getting my hands on these hops myself. And best of luck with the campaign.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thanks, Aaron. Such a short time frame to get us on your wonderful podcast. I had a blast with you last year when you came down with Sam and Tom.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Big thank you to Shelley and Jeff. It was great to chat with them. Like I said, really wish I was down there for the harvest though. And harvest is wrapping up just about now. And today, October 8th, as this episode is released, you can get these Triumph hops for the 1 in 8 campaign. So head to the appropriate places. You can even go to the number 1 in number8.co. So that's 1in8.co for more information about the campaign and how to get the hops. I am also happy to report here, late breaking. At the end of the call, Jeff and Shelley were like, hey, do you know any BC breweries that might be on board to be a part of this campaign? And like, we know it's a little last minute, and need to squeeze it in. And so I reached out to some friends of the podcast, and I'm happy to report I just got a message back from Aaron at Barkerville. They are producing a beer that will be in cans as well. So very excited about that. The text message here says a double dry hopped session ale is what Aaron has in the works for us. So I'm really excited that a BC brewery is also a part of this campaign, and proceeds from that beer will be going to a local cancer society in the interior. So really excited by that. Hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. And if you want to check out more episodes, you can by going through the archives in your podcast app or heading to the website, cascadian.beer. Follow us along on social media, because I'll definitely be making an announcement once that Barkerville beer drops. And, there's tons of beer stuff going on. It is BC Craft Beer Month. So lots of things to keep up on. You can follow along at Facebook at facebook.com/Cascadian Beer, on Twitter at Cascadian Beer, and on Instagram at Cascadian Beer Podcast. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, remember, support your local.